Ho ho hello! Thank you for stopping by. My name is Becky and this is Bex Reads, and welcome to the final Fave 5 video of Bookmas before I announce my worst books of the year. Today I will be sharing with you my 5 favorite fantasy romances of the year. And if you haven't been keeping up with my Fave 5 series, I will link the playlist down in the description if you want to go check out my Fave 5 from other genres. But in this Fave 5, these won't make my top books of the year. These are just my Fave 5 within the categories that aren't part of my top 10. So my 5th favorite fan row of the year was The Veiled Kingdom by Holly Renee. This is about a girl named Nira. We're gonna go with Nira. That just sounds better. She is the princess of this kingdom, and she doesn't like what's going on, so she disguises herself and runs away. And she ends up getting caught and thrown in the dungeon of her own castle because nobody knows who she is. And there she is rescued by Dacre and his rebellion group and taken back to the Veiled Kingdom. The Veiled Kingdom is full of people who want to overthrow this kingdom and bring more peace and prosperity to it. And Dacre is the son of the man who is in charge of this Veiled Kingdom. So they unknowingly bring the princess of the actual kingdom to their Veiled Kingdom. And they have no idea who she is, but they keep saying if they could find this runaway princess and use her to manipulate the actual king, then they could overthrow this kingdom. And she's like, oh shit, I can't let them know that I am this princess. So while she is with this rebellion group, she is learning some information about her own kingdom that she never knew. She is being trained in weapons and combat to be more self-sufficient. And she ends up falling in love with Dacre. So there's a hate to love aspect going on here. I really enjoyed the slow burn of this one. It was a much slower burn than other Holly Renee books that I had read. I thought they had good sexual tension. It hooked me, it kept me entertained, and I liked the character dynamics within it. My 4th favorite fantasy romance was The Pumpkin King's Bride. I cannot remember who the author was. But this is a book that I read in my Halloween Smut reading vlog, which I will link down in the description if you want to see my whole reaction to when I was reading it. This is about a woman who is new to this village, and the people are trying to explain to her the Samhain celebration where someone is offered up to the Pumpkin King every year so that he can continue to protect their village. But she just thinks this is superstition, hogwash to, scare the local children or whatever. Until she actually takes part in this Samhain celebration and she sees this Pumpkin King come to the village. And while everybody else is sort of afraid of him and doesn't want to get near him, she is interested in him. She wants to get to know him. And so they spend some time together and he invites her to his home in the forest. So she goes, she gets to know him a couple times. They have some sexy fun. And he proposes marriage to her. But as soon as they get married, this demon enacts his revenge and puts a curse on her so that she forgets everything that just happened to her. This story was really quick. I really loved the chemistry between this couple. It was hilarious. This Pumpkin King is so gentlemanly until he's not, and he turns into a little dirty talker, which I absolutely loved. It put the biggest smile on my face. They had amazing chemistry. This doesn't have much of a plot to it, but just I just felt the chemistry between these characters, and it was a fun Halloween time. My 3rd favorite fan row of the year was The Ever King by L.J. Andrews. So in this, we are following a young woman named Livia, I think, and I can't remember his name. I wish I could. I can't at the moment. I did not write down notes, so I'm just going off the cuff here. But anyway, they meet as children when he is imprisoned and she goes to his cell to visit him, and they form a friendship or whatnot, and he gives her this medallion and he says, I will come back for it, and he never does. But she has kept this medallion for years, and now I believe she is like 18 or 19. I can't remember how old she is. Anyway, it is the eve of this masquerade ball in her kingdom, and this mysterious man shows up that she has an immediate attraction to. So they sneak away, they get a little frisky, and he asks, where's my medallion? And that's when she realizes that this is the man who she befriended as a boy, he thought he was long dead. So he steals her away, he kidnaps her, and takes her to his kingdom below the sea. Because he is like a sea water fae, and she is a land earth fae. I think I got that right. Listen, I might not remember a whole lot of aspects about this book, but it is my third favorite fanro of the year, okay? Just believe me about this. Anyway, his mission is to use her as a pawn against her father to break this barrier that will allow his people to come to the surface again. And in them being stuck together on his pirate ship and rekindling this connection that they had when they were younger, they end up falling in love. I liked the tension between this couple. I thought they had amazing chemistry. I liked that it was a bit of a friends to complete strangers to hate to love again. The pirate ship adventures were so great. I really appreciated that. If y'all don't know by now, I am a sucker for a good pirate ship adventure. My second favorite fanro of the year was The Beast and the Beauty by... I can't remember the author's name. I'm sorry. Man, you know, most of these Fave Fives, I wrote down notes so that I could remember some stuff. This one I did not. I am just winging it. I believe I read this in a reading vlog where I read Beauty and the Beast retellings, which I will link down in the description if you want to check that out. I really enjoyed this story because the female main character is the Beast and the male main character is the Beauty. So in this, we were following a woman who has been cursed for over 40 years because she was a very arrogant young woman. So she has been cursed as a beast. She has hair all over, she's got fangs and claws, and in order to break her curse, she has to get a man to propose marriage to her. That's it. So anytime a man has ventured through the forest and come upon her manor, she does this spell to try and disguise her beastly features to try and convince the men to propose to her. But something always happens and the spell never lasts, and so they see her true form and they run away. Until this man ends up stumbling through the snowy forest, he ends up collapsing right outside her gates, and she sends her people out to bring him in to save him. And she doesn't expect anything of this. She's not even going to try to persuade him to propose marriage to her, despite her staff trying to encourage her to give it one more try. And she's like, nah, I've given up. So she doesn't try to disguise herself, but she does put on a veil to hide her features, and they end up meeting in a library. And they end up getting to know one another, and he has no idea what she looks like. He knows what she sounds like, and he really likes talking to her about the things that he is passionate about, and she likes talking to him about the things that she's passionate about. And eventually he ends up finding out about her curse, but he doesn't know how to break it. And she can't tell him, and nobody in the castle can tell him how to break this curse either. But because he has grown to like her and appreciate her, he sets out on this mission to try and figure out how to break this curse on her by any means necessary. So they end up traveling across this kingdom. He tries to get the help of witches and things like that to break this curse. And in doing so, they end up getting closer together and a relationship happens. So there were so many things I loved about this story. I liked the uniqueness of it, that she was the beast in the aspect. I always love when female characters are the monsters, are the aliens, and they get a love interest. That shit tugs at my heart like nothing else. I really felt the chemistry between these characters, although there is absolutely no spice in this book whatsoever. So again, if you are looking for a no spice fantasy romance, here you go. But they had great chemistry because it was built on that friendship first, and y'all know friends to lovers is my jam, so I loved that. But they got to know one another, and she didn't try to lie to him and disguise what was going on with her. He just sort of had to figure it out and work around the curse. This was just a standout story for me. It was really unique, and I highly recommend it. Which means my number one favorite fanro of the year was the Heart of the Fae duology by Emma Hamm, Heart of the Fae and Veins of Magic. I have Veins of Magic, but I'm not going to hold it up. But anyway, this is a fantasy romance with some Celtic inspirations, and we follow Sorsha, who is a midwife. She is trying to help her village the best she can, but when a plague takes over and her loved ones start to fall deathly ill, she is trying to seek out a remedy to save their lives. And she ends up meeting this fae who tells her that they will give her the exact thing she needs to prevent the deaths of her loved ones. If she can go to this island that nobody can get to, it only appears once every so often, and if she can bring back the guy who lives there, the Fae that lives there. So she sets out on this mission. She's going to try and find this mysterious island at any cost because she wants to save her loved ones. And as it goes, she does in fact manage to find this island. When she shows up, she is not greeted by this guy very warmly at all. But the residents of this island do take a liking to her because this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and everybody on this island has been cursed as well. So they really want this curse to be broken. But Eamon, the Fae who is sort of in charge of this island, he's given up hope once again of ever breaking this curse, because he was cursed to anytime he gets cut, geodes will grow out of him. So he is a man made of rock, pretty much. He's got all these geodes on him that he thinks makes it hard for anyone to fall in love with him. But through her being on this island and trying to convince him to go back to her world to save her people, they end up forming this very sweet relationship. I freaking adored this series. It barely missed out on making my top 10 of the year. Oh, it was so close. If I had a top 15, this definitely would have been there. It probably would have been number 11. Loved all the Celtic mythology woven in. I really like this Beauty and the Beast retelling where he was made of rock and gemstones. That was a really unique aspect to it. I loved this mysterious island and all the people on it who really wanted to break this curse. And I liked that she was a very smart character. She thought things through and she was trying to do what she needed to do in order to save her people, but she wasn't overly naive about things. So, favorite fantasy romance of the year, just barely missed out on my top 10. Have you read any of these? Do you want to read any of these? Or what was your favorite fantasy romance of the year? But if you don't want to comment that, but would like to let me know you made it to the end of this video, could you leave me a geode emoji or a gemstone emoji? And with that, until my next video, which will be my worst books of the year, I hope 2025 brings you lots of great fantasy romances to read. Bye!